Good evening, and welcome to the second night of the Canby School Board Candidate Forums, brought to you by the Canby Education Association in partnership with CTV Channel 5, the Canby Area Chamber of Commerce, Bridging Cultures Canby, and the Canby Current. I'm Tyler Franke. I'm honored to be your moderator tonight. The Canby School District serves thousands of students, providing a foundation of education on which to build their lives. But it's actually even more than that. In many ways, our schools are the heart of our community, representing our past and our hope for the future. Our schools face significant challenges as well, and opportunities in the years ahead, and decisions made by our local leaders will be critical. The Canby School District is led by a 7-member board of directors made up of elected citizens, volunteers who choose to dedicate their time and talent and service to our district's students, staff, and families. In the May 18th election, 4 of the district's 7 seats will be on the ballot, and all 4 races are contested. That means that in this one election, voters will truly have the chance to help guide the direction of our school district for years to come. The format for this forum is simple. Each candidate will be introduced and will have the chance to answer the same 5 questions. Each candidate will have the same amount of time to answer those questions. Now, one thing to remember is that Canby School Board races are head-to-head, not at large, meaning each candidate is running for a specific position. For example, you may have 2 candidates you really like, but if they're running for the same position, you'll have to pick just one. Because due to scheduling considerations, these forums are happening across multiple nights, viewers will have to pay careful attention to which candidates are running for which position, and we'll do our best to help keep those distinctions clear. We want to assure our viewers that this event is taking place in line with all of the recommended public health guidelines, including asking all participants to wear masks anytime that they are not speaking. Our final rule tonight is that all candidates will be expected to abide by the Canby School Board civility policy and refrain from any comments that might reflect adversely on the background, character, or motives of their opponent or any other individual. Now, let's meet our first candidate tonight. She is Angi Dilkes. Hi, Angi. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So tonight's forum is actually a true, although I'm serving as moderator, it's a true community forum. And we have community members that are going to be asking the questions of Angi and our other candidates tonight. And our first question asker is Banks. They have grown up quite literally in Canby schools, with both parents working for the district and living in Canby their entire life. They're now finishing up their 13th and final year of education at Canby schools. A high school senior, they have been on the school swim team, cheer squad, safe club, writing club, science club, and theater. They have concentrated their studies in the school's arts and graphic design courses with the hopes of becoming a graphic designer in their future. Welcome, Banks. Thanks for being here.
Why are you running for school board for reelection? What qualities do you would you bring to the table? What has been your history or involvement with the district to this point?
Hi, Banks. Thank you for being here and for the question. It's funny, why are you running for reelection should be the simplest thing to answer, and it was really hard because it's been a very challenging period of time to be on the board. That's maybe an understatement. I boiled it down to one thing. I'm an optimist, and I think that we have a lot of potential, and I think that I'd like to be a part of making sure that happens. I actually wrote down my son's names because I didn't want to forget one of them. I have 2 kids that have gone. My older son graduated from Canby High School a few years ago, and my younger son is a freshman this year. And I have coached soccer, coached robotics, been on the board for 8 years, and for 3 of those 8 years, I've been selected by my peers to be the service chair. In terms of what I bring to the table, I work in state politics for a living, and in that space, what you learn really quickly is that you can find something you have in common with almost anybody within a couple of questions. You learn that working together, being creative, trying to find solutions, like that matters a lot. And, that there aren't easy answers. They aren't as simple as they might seem from the outside. And so I've been able to use those skills when working as part of the Canby School Board. And I guess I also have a really big heart, and I care a lot about all of this, so that I bring that too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bangs. Our next person asking a question is Sarah Hill. She is a parent of 3 Canby School District students, one in elementary, middle, and high school, one of each. Hi, Sarah. Including one of her children having special needs. She is a special education instructional assistant at Karis Elementary and is working on finishing up her master's in special education, so she's also student teaching there. And also she is a board member of Canby United Soccer Association. Hi, Sarah. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. How do you feel the Canby School District should proceed with regards to educating our students during the pandemic, especially in the 21-22 academic school year?
Thanks for the question. I think the biggest thing that I come back to, whether it's since this started a year plus ago now, I think it's really important that we continue to acknowledge that we are experiencing a collective trauma of unimaginable proportions. And so, there's this anxiety that we all feel, and it's scary, wondering, like, are our kids going to come out of this okay on the other end? I actually have a couple of times had to remind people that colleges know that there is a pandemic, and so when they look at the transcripts, everyone in the world that is, whatever grade it is going to have the same experience in the background. And so, I think that we have to, while, moving forward, we can't lose sight of the fact that we're still in it. And so there's a lot of grief for all the things that have been missed that will probably come out as kids return to some level of normalcy in the fall, hopefully. I think that one of the places that I have been most impressed by in terms of community members is, like, I've heard from people that I've never heard from before. I mean, we don't usually get a lot of public comments, and we've had a lot of people that are wanting their kids back in school right now with no restrictions. We have a lot of people who are terrified to send their kids back to school and everything in between. And so I think looking ahead, we have to recognize that there isn't a solution that will fit every kid. I think it's really important to support and collaborate with our teachers and our staff. And I mean, as much as we can within the rules that are dictated by the state, I think that I'd like us to be as much back in person as possible for next year. And again, I think prioritizing student well-being and staff well-being, teacher well-being, administrator well-being, all of us, it's everyone's just been sprinting for over a year now. And I think we have to, take some time to make sure that we're easing back in a way that doesn't further traumatize everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you, Angie, for that. Number 3 is Daniela Vega. She is a graduate of Canby High School, class of 2017. Go Cougars. She works as a dental assistant, and her mom is the homeless liaison for the Canby School District, Magda Marino. Hi, Daniela.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi. If re-elected to the Canby for the Canby School Board, what will be your budget priorities in allocating general fund dollars for the district's next fiscal year and in the future?
So I think a lot of what I just described as being the way to approach the next year. I think the investments will be required to make those things happen. We don't yet know the amount of money we'll be getting from the state. The legislature is still working on that, so we have a little bit of uncertainty there. We also, we had a few hundred kids decide to leave the district during this period of time. We don't know if they're coming back. We hope they do. I think we're budgeting at a conservative, like 70% of those kids coming back. Again, we hope it's more, but that does directly relate to the budget. And so there's a lot of sort of uncertainties about that. But I think the good news is that the federal dollars that are flowing in are providing some really good one-time support. And some of the funds don't have to be spent all the way until 2024. And so it gives us a little bit of time here to work on this transition period. The federal dollars, they talk about learning loss. That's something that some of them specifically have to be used for. And I think that, as I was talking about, like the well-being of our students with mental health especially, it's a time where you can use some of those one-time dollars to do wraparound supports, like figure out how do we get more mental health professionals into schools and, just figuring out, like, meeting kids where they are and using the extra money that we have right now, knowing it's not sustainable, but use it to really sort of do everything we can for students as we're getting back into into schools. And then I think, beyond that, recruiting and retaining really quality teachers, staff, and we want the professional staff to reflect the diversity of our student body. And so I think that's really important. And then, I'd love to add some days to the school year, even though my freshman would probably move out and never come home if he heard me say that. School went it on his birthday, and he didn't speak to me for a long time because we had to change it because of a snow day. But and then smaller class sizes would be the other thing. So those are just sort of the general priorities that I would push for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Angi. Thanks, Daniela. Juror number 4 coming up is Alex Lopez. He is a 5th grade teacher at Trose Elementary. Hi, Alex. He has 2 children, one who is a kindergarten student and one who isn't quite old enough yet to be in school. Originally from Mexico, and he taught at the Woodburn School District for 10 years before coming to Canby. Welcome, Alex. Thanks for being here.
Hi.
Thank you. If reelected, how will you ensure the viewpoints of the entire Canby community are represented in educational decisions, especially those of historically underserved populations like our Latinx community, which represents nearly a third of our district's students and families? It's kind of a long question. How will you work to ensure all students feel safe and accepted, regardless of race, color, religion, or lack thereof, gender identity, sexual orientation, ability, or national origin?
Thank you. My freshman is a Trose kid, and so I am a big fan of the program there. I think you guys do pretty amazing work. So in terms of making sure the entire community is represented, again, back to the outpouring of community comments that we've received this year, I hope people continue to pay attention. I hope that we have less reason to be angry collectively, because that's been really hard. It's hard to listen and know people are suffering, to see it firsthand. But I think that it's really clear to me how diverse, not just in terms of all of the groups that you just mentioned, but there's sort of the back to school in person people don't align with political party or with who wants sports to be played. I mean, it's just a really interesting mix, and people contain multitudes, and so I think that is it's really opened my eyes to how many different perspectives there are, and so I think. If nothing, going forward, I feel like I will carry that with me if I'm reelected, and definitely use that to help guide decision making and to try to do what we can to make sure people know that we do want to hear from them. Public comments. It seems a little like we don't listen very well during board meetings because we don't respond, but we really do, and we've heard from more people this year than all of my other 7 years combined. I think. We maybe in one meeting at some point this year probably heard from more people than we'd heard from in my entire other 7 years on the board. In terms of the Latinx community in particular, so I say that this is probably the place that I have the most room to improve. I have, like to think of myself as being an ally, and it is tough to do that when you aren't being able to connect with families, and so. Being able to better communicate, figuring out ways to actually get feedback and to hear from people, I think is really important. And then finally, making sure students feel safe and accepted. I think that is at the very core of what brings me to this work. I originally ran because of some of those issues around the Trose program. So just using that as a filter to think about all the decisions we're making.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Angi, for that. Your final question tonight is going to come from Kyle Lang. He is the director of the Canby Area Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Kyle.
Hi.
Also a parent and a graduate of Canby High. Go Cougars.
Go Cougars, class of 94. All right. First off, thank you for being here, and thank you for being willing to go first this evening. I know that's kind of the hot seat a little bit. My question's very simple. In closing, why do you believe Canby School District voters should choose you? Please also feel free to use this time to share any final thoughts about topics that have been discussed tonight.
Thank you. I think going back to the way I started it is where I would end it, which is that I'm an optimist, and I believe that we collectively have a lot more in common than it feels like in moments, especially right now. We are all really struggling in lots of ways, and we've sort of, I think, lost sight a little bit of that. So I am excited about the potential of being a part of what we do from here. I think because we do have federal dollars to invest, because we have an opportunity to really support kids in a way that we haven't before. It's exciting, and I want to be able to be in that mix. And I think the experience that I have, both professionally and on the board, I sort of hit the ground running if reelected. So
Yeah.
I think my optimism and determination that we will get through this and we will find our way to being sort of a reunited, stronger community. I think that that's not just possible, but necessary.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Angie, before we let you go, one sort of rogue question that we threw in the first night and wanted to offer to all the other candidates as well is just if there is any way, Facebook page, email, any way that you'd like viewers watching tonight to reach out to you if they have questions about your positions or your work on things that weren't talked about tonight.
Sure. Yeah, if it's official school board business, it's there's an email address for that. But for campaign, it's just my email address is ANGID as in David, ILKES @iCloud.com. So it's just my name @iCloud.com, and I'd be glad to hear from people.
Easy enough. Awesome. Thank you, Angie. I want to congratulate Angie and all of our community members for a great first round. We're going to switch over to our next candidate. If you're just joining us tonight, welcome. This is the second of 3 community forums featuring the 8 candidates for Canby School Board. I'm Tyler Franke. I want to remind viewers that all of tonight's candidates are actually running for different positions. Angi Dilkes, whom you just met, is running for re-election to position 7, and her opponent is Shelley Vissers, whom you will meet in tomorrow's forum. Our next candidate is Tom Scott, who is running for re-election for position 2. His opponent is Olga Jimenez, who was part of our first forum last week. If you missed it, you can find that video by visiting the Canby Current's Facebook page. Hi, Tom. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So you kind of saw how it goes. We're going to have some community members come back to ask you some questions. And first up again is Bangs, a student at Canby High. Hi, Bangs.
Hi. Why are you running for school board or for re-election? What qualities do you bring or would you bring to the table? And what has been your history or involvement with the district to this point?
Thanks for the question. First, I want to thank the organizers and sponsors of this event. First of all, my involvement in the district, I think first and foremost, I have 4 children. My wife and I have 4 children, and 2 of them are graduates of Canby High School, and I have 2 currently in Canby High School. So I think probably the most important thing I've done is I've been involved in their education as they've gone through the system. Second thing is I've been a 12-year member of the school board. I've seen a lot of different changes and people come and go, and so I've spent a lot of time watching our schools. So why am I running for re-election? First of all, I'm a believer in public education. I think that's important to represent your community, for you to believe in that. And then I have a passion for the community and our kids. I grew up in this community. I was educated in this community, and it just allowed me a lot of great things, so I appreciate that. And what do I bring to the table? I think experience and knowledge. I think 12 years has gained me a lot of experience and knowledge. I think I have a strong and reasonable voice on the board, and I think my leadership can be an asset moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you, Bangs. Our second person coming back, Sarah Hill. She's a local parent and a special education instructional assistant at Caris. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. How do you feel the Canby School District should proceed with regards to educating our students during the pandemic, especially during the 21-22 academic school year?
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for the question. First of all, I think we have to acknowledge that this has been an incredibly challenging 14 or 15 months, and that we have people that are in all different spots with this pandemic. We have people that are ready to go 5 days a week all the time back to normal schedule right now, and we have people that don't want to go back. So that's where we're at right now. But what I think, and I think to your question is this fall. And I believe, and I strongly believe that we need to get our kids back in front of our teachers 5 days a week, full schedules, just like normal before the pandemic started. Secondly, I think I think some kids have thrived in online learning. And I don't know that we know how many, but we need to find that out. We need to find if there is a significant number of families that want to continue that way. And if so, I think we have to get a robust online system in place. And I think we need to do better than we're doing right now. And I think we can. I think it's out there. And I think we need to be prepared to do that. And I think, for our help with our social and emotional well-being, I think we need our kids back active. We've reinstated some youth sports and some high school sports, but the clubs and the activities, that's going to help these kids just being social and out there with their friends. I think that's going to be really important to get that back to a normal pace and what we had before this pandemic. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks, Sarah. Coming back is Daniela Vega. She is a 2017 graduate of Canby High. Hi, Daniela.
Hi.
Hi.
If re-elected to the Canby School Board, what will be your budget priorities in allocating general funds dollars for the district's next fiscal year and in the future?
Thanks for the question, Daniela. So I think it could be a very challenging budget year. As Angie mentioned earlier, we've lost somewhere around 450 to 500 students, and we are funded, our general fund is funded off of our student population and attendance. So that number of students, if they don't come back, that equals about $4.5 million to our budget, which is a significant, almost probably 9% of our budget, which is significant. Now, I would expect that we're going to have a significant number of those come back, but we really don't know until September. We can ask families, we can send out surveys, but we're really not going to know until we see who shows up in September. So that's going to propose a challenge. And then the other thing is 80% of our general fund budget goes to staffing. And so in a $57 million budget, that's a significant amount of money. So I honestly don't know that we're going to have a whole lot of room to do a lot of different things in our general fund budget. But beyond the general fund budget, we have some special funds. A couple years ago, the legislature passed a Student Investment Act that is funded by a corporate activity tax, and that just began funding last year. I believe this coming year we'll see about $3 million to our district, and that's it's earmarked for mental and behavioral health. It's to serve underserved populations and increase student achievement overall. So I think with what we've gone through, I think those dollars will be key to next year's budget. And then we have some one-time dollars from the federal government that was a response to COVID. And I believe we're going to get over $7 million by the time the last round of funding comes in. So that's a significant amount of money to spend. And we get to spend that over 2 or 3 years' time in a response to COVID. But we have to go, I think with those dollars, they need to be targeted specifically to kids that are hurting and in areas where they need help. So I think it's important for us as a district to go out and find out where our kids are right now. They're just getting back to school. They haven't been there that long. We don't know how bad they're hurting yet. We have to go out and talk to students. We have to go talk to their teachers. We need to talk to their families. We need to understand where they are and their needs and target those dollars specifically for those needs to address those. So I think we'll plan on doing that. So thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you, Tom. Coming up now is Alex Lopez. He is a 5th grade teacher at Trose Elementary and a local parent of Canby School District kids.
Hi. If re-elected, how will you ensure the viewpoints of the entire Canby community are represented in educational decisions, especially those of historically underserved populations like our Latinx community, which represents nearly a third of our district students and families? Also, how will you work to ensure all students feel safe and accepted, regardless of race, color, religion, or lack thereof, gender identity, sexual orientation, ability, or national origin?
Alex, thanks for the question. So first and foremost, our students and our families need to feel accepted and comfortable in our schools and our community. I mean, that's foremost. I think we made progress with communication with our Latino community before the pandemic. I think when the pandemic hit, obviously that hurt. It made it very difficult. We need to continue to invite everybody into our schools and listen and listen to their needs and what they need from us. I think that's important. Again, I think we started to make progress, but I think we need to pick that up. I think it's been a rough 14 months for everybody, but especially that community. We need those families to be involved in their kids' education. That's going to help those kids thrive. So we need to invite those families in and be part of that. How will I ensure everybody feels accepted and safe? Well, first of all, I can tell you I'm not an educator, right? I'm a school board member. My job is to listen to our students, listen to our educators, listen to our families, listen to our community, and ask questions and make good decisions based off what I'm hearing from those people. As a school board member, it's my job to ensure that we have good policies in place to make sure that all students are represented and accepted, and then also to ensure that our staff are following through with those policies and making sure those are being done properly to make sure everybody's feeling accepted. And then lastly, as a school board member, you know, our biggest job is to direct the superintendent, and we have to create leadership and expectations for him or her, and make sure they follow through. So again, all those families and students feel accepted. So hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Tom. Your final question tonight, we're going to welcome back Kyle Lang. He's the director of the Chamber of Commerce and class of 94, Canby High grad.
Right. Thank you for citing the year.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for being here. As somebody who runs a volunteer organization, I appreciate volunteers. Final question in closing. Why do you believe Canby School District voters should choose you? Please also feel free to use this time to share any final thoughts about topics that have been discussed tonight.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for the question. I'm a 1991 grad, by the way.
There you go.
You know, I don't, people ask me this, and you know, I've been on the board for 12 years, so they say, why are you doing it again? And quite honestly, if you would have asked me a year or so ago, I would have said, you know, this is probably it. It's time to move on. It's time for somebody else's voice. But honestly, I've seen some challenges in the last year and a half or so, and I felt like that I should offer to continue because of my experience. We're going to transition a superintendent. We are going to have to transition our kids back into a normal school year, which is going to be difficult, and they're going to be in a difficult spot. We've got a $90+ million maintenance bond that we continue to plan and work on that's over the next few years. So I just think my leadership and knowledge and voice can be an asset to the board moving forward. Again, I've spent a lot of time and I've had a wonderful time representing the community. I just felt like I should give it, you know, one more shot. So that's why I did that. You know, and quite honestly, I've been auditioning for 12 years. You know, people ask me why I'm not out campaigning and putting up signs and doing the Facebook page. First of all, I don't do Facebook, but I just feel like I've auditioned for 12 years. I'm not a big campaigner, and it's just not me. So I'll put my name in a hat, and I hope the community will support me. I'd love that. But if not, if they choose somebody else, then I'll help that transition to a new board member the best I can, because I think that it's important to do that, and we need great leadership moving forward. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Tom. Before you leave us tonight, is there, I totally get you about the Facebook page there. Is there any way that viewers or voters can reach out to you to ask you questions or about your position or anything we didn't talk about tonight?
So school-related business, I do have an email on the district website.
Okay.
If we want to talk about campaigns specifically, I think we probably need to keep that separate. So I have a work email. It's tomscott@scott-investments.com. You're welcome to reach to me there, and then we can always talk on the phone or meet in person.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you to Tom and our community members again for a great round. If you're just joining us, you're watching the second of 3 community forums featuring all 8 candidates for Canby School Board. I'm Tyler Franke. While we switch over to our final candidate tonight, I want to remind our viewers that all of tonight's candidates are actually running for different positions. Tom Scott, whom you just met, is running for re-election to position 2, and his opponent is Olga Jimenez, who was part of our first forum last week. If you missed that, you can find it by visiting the Canby Current's Facebook page. That video is on there. Our last candidate tonight is Stephanie Smith, who is running for position 3. Her opponent is the current incumbent in that seat, Sarah Megenheimer, whom you will meet in our final forum tomorrow. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome.
Hi,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
being here tonight. I guess you have an idea of how things are going to work. We're going to have some community members ask you some questions, and we're excited to welcome back Bangs, the Canby High senior. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Why are you running for school board or for re-election? What qualities do you or would you bring to the table? What has been your history or involvement with the district to this point?
Thank you so much for the question, and thanks for being here. So I have not been on the board, but I am a trained educator. I got my bachelor's in elementary education from Concordia University. So I do have a bit of an idea of some of the challenges, definitely not anything that we're facing currently, but I've been there. I do have a passion for education, and I have a passion for learning and helping students find their passion for learning. I've been watching the school board meetings, and I felt almost a calling to participate and be one of the voices that helps direct our district and guide our policies and support our students and our parents and our educators and everyone that just helps our students succeed as best they can. I do volunteer in the classrooms as much as possible. I have over the years. I have a freshman at Canby High School, and I have a first grader at Trose Elementary. I also serve on the PTA. I'm the secretary there. So, I mean, really, I've been doing lots of reading on our current policies and watching lots of past board meetings to figure out this whole process. And I really just want to serve our district and our community as best as possible.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Bangs. Best of luck on the rest of your high school career and everything you're involved in. Our second question is going to be asked by Sarah Hill. She's a local parent and special education instructional assistant at Caris.
How do you feel the Canby School District should proceed with regards to educating our students during the pandemic, especially in the 21-22 academic school year?
Thank you so much, Sarah. So I think the most important thing going into next year is making sure that we are listening to our parents and giving them the options that they feel comfortable with. I know there is a big push for getting students back in school 5 days a week. I know that almost a third of our population doesn't feel comfortable with that. And they definitely need to have their option as well for the education platform that they feel best serves their family. So I think looking into next year, the most important thing is to just make sure that our families have the option. A lot of what I've been hearing currently out talking to parents is that they feel like our options have been taken away and our voice has been taken away. And that's very bothersome as far as from a parent perspective, because I want to give my children what I feel is best for them, and I haven't been given the opportunity to do so, and many parents haven't. So I think options are most important. The other thing is stability. We have had nonstop changes this year, and every time I feel like we get one schedule down, something changes, and everything goes into chaos again. For teachers, for our administration staff, it's a complete redesign every time. And our students, I mean, they're struggling. They're really struggling. I have a first grader who only participated in 6 months and in school in kindergarten. He didn't really learn the whole process. And so he's really having a tough time transitioning back. And I think just making sure that we have a definitive plan and make sure that we offer that stability as well. So it's just not a constantly changing environment, because really kids thrive in stability. Change affects everybody and gives us all anxiety. So yeah, that's what I think we need to do for next year.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Stephanie. Your third question is going to come from Daniela Vega. She is a 2017 Canby High grad. Hi, Danielle. Welcome back.
If elected to the Canby School Board, what will be your budget priorities in allocating general fund dollars for the district's next fiscal year and in the future?
Thank you. So the budgeting information is something that I am very new to, and I have been looking into it. As has been mentioned, we've had kind of a mass exodus from our district, and so we don't know what our budget is going to look like next year. It's a little bit concerning, but I do know that I've talked to some folks that I think some contingencies are kind of planned in for future budgets, so maybe we'll be able to cover part of that. I think one of the most important things is all of our students are going to be coming back at levels that we don't know. Some students have been thriving again in this situation, and some students maybe haven't even been participating. So they may have missed out on almost a year and a half of education, and we need to make sure that we evaluate where they are. And I think if there is any extra money, we need to make sure that we hire some additional support staff to have in our classrooms, to have for different types of support for students if they have to break out into groups or whatever. I also think it might take a bit of support from our parents to maybe offer some support in a classroom and have that involvement in our kids' education. So having a parent in a classroom to help guide the students when there are some that maybe that aren't at the right grade level and they need that support. One thing that is actually really near and dear to my heart as well is I feel like we don't challenge, our TEG students aren't given opportunities to thrive to their maximum potential as well. So I think all students have their own maximum potential, and we need to recognize that. And I would really like to see some opportunities for our TEG students to really challenge them and help them succeed as well.
Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Your fourth question is going to come from Alex Lopez. He is a fifth grade teacher at Trose Elementary and a local parent. Hi, Alex. Welcome back.
Hi, Alex.
If elected, how will you ensure the viewpoints of the entire Canby community are represented in educational decisions, especially those of historically underserved populations like our Latinx community, which represents nearly a third of our district students and families? Also, how will you work to ensure all students feel safe and accepted, regardless of race, color, religion, or lack thereof, gender identity, sexual orientation, ability, or national origin?
Thank you so much for the question. So I think to make sure that all viewpoints are heard is we really need to make sure that we're talking to parents and that we're listening. I know it's been mentioned in several board meetings that parents feel like they're not being heard. Some of that we do have constraints as far as the way school has been going, and some of that it's just really hard to make everybody happy. So we have, everybody comes with different viewpoints and different opinions and things, and I think it's a really difficult position to put some folks in and assume that they can make everybody happy. It's a little unrealistic. So we have to make sure that we're hearing everybody, but also making sure that we work to make the majority of folks as happy as possible. One thing that I have loved this school year as far as hearing from parents is the surveys that have come out. I don't remember in years past that we've had so many surveys, and I think that's a great way to reach all of the district and the students and the parents and see what their opinions are. One thing about making sure that everyone feels loved and appreciated and accepted in our schools is that we teach acceptance in our schools. again, not everybody has the same opinions. Just because we don't agree doesn't mean I have to not like you as a person. I think teaching acceptance and valuing people for their differences, that's kind of what our country was founded on, is we're the melting pot. So going back to that value of you're different, your culture's different than my culture. I want to celebrate some of the things that you do. My son is a student at Trose, and I love, there's the celebration coming up on Thursday, the Day of the Children, I think. I don't know how to say it in Spanish, so I'm not going to try, sorry. So I think really just teaching the acceptance is so important, and valuing us for being human beings. We are all human beings. We are all in this pandemic together. We're all on the planet together. And I know that sounds very, I don't know, beyond our district, but I think it's going to create just a different sort of environment as they grow up. It creates a different mindset. So
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for taking that extra long question for us tonight. You did great. Our final question bringing us home tonight is going to be Kyle Lang, Canby Area Chamber Director. Hi, Kyle.
Hi, thank you. And
Hi.
thank you for being here. As I said to both of them, appreciate a volunteer, somebody willing to step up and give of their own time. So appreciate your willingness to step forward. In closing, why do you believe Canby School District voters should choose you? And please also feel free to use this time to share any final thoughts about topics that have been discussed tonight.
Thank you. So I feel like I would be a new perspective on the board. I feel like, again, I mentioned that everybody has different viewpoints and different experiences, maybe some different ideas on how to approach some things. I also have mentioned that I have that passion for learning and education, and I really and truly do. And I want to support our students and be able to help them find their fire and their spark for learning, and to be able to help them find their path in life beyond school. I think all of that starts by being supported and by being allowed to have whatever path you can find in public education. I do think public education is very, very valuable. I think it's the foundation for life and being successful adults and having a productive adult life. So the other thing is I'm a pretty good leader, I've been told, and I have a really loud voice. For anybody that knows me can attest to that. So, I'm willing to fight for the things that we feel are necessary. I'm willing to fight for and be that voice and maybe say the hard thing or ask the hard question, even if it's not the popular opinion or the popular question. So I think just a new perspective and a new ideas. That's what I think.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle, for being here tonight. Stephanie, almost done. Great job. Before we let you go, is there any way that viewers and voters can reach out to you if they have questions beyond what we've discussed tonight?
Yep. So I do have a Facebook page, Stephanie Smith for Canby School Board. And I will say that it has been absolutely eye-opening to go out and talk to parents and hear how they're feeling and what their thoughts are and what they want to see. And it's just been great. I'm not going to lie, I've kind of questioned my own sanity a little bit. It feels like a really big undertaking and a lot more than I expected, but every time I talk to a parent who sees their kid struggling and sees their child crying daily, and it's just, it breaks my heart a little bit, and it reignites that fire that I found. And I'm just really excited for the opportunity to work for our district and serve our students and help get us on a really good path.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time tonight. Thank you to all of our candidates for being here and our community members for doing such a great job. That actually concludes tonight's forum. I want to call attention to the tremendous work of local organizations who made this event possible: the Canby Education Association, the Canby Area Chamber of Commerce, Bridging Cultures Canby, the Canby Current, and CanbyFirst.com, and CTV Channel 5, who is hosting us tonight and did a fantastic job as always. Finally, thanks again to the candidates for participating. We appreciate that every single one of these candidates has the desire to serve our district and help make very difficult decisions they feel would be in the best interests of students and families. We will be back for our final forum at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow, introducing you to the three remaining candidates. We also want to remind you, if you missed our first forum last week featuring Mike Zagava and Olga Jimenez, you can watch that by visiting the Canby Current's Facebook page. Thank you, Canby, and have a great night. Thanks for watching.